Okay, Greg Thompson with Accelerate Action Coach Business Coaching. I have Matt Edwards from CB Solar with us today. Matt, greetings.
Greetings. Good morning.
Thanks for giving us a little bit of time this morning to talk about CB Solar. So let's just start with you telling us what CB Solar is and what you do and how long you've been around.
Yeah. Well, CB Solar, we're located in Des Moines, Iowa, and we're turnkey solar installers. So someone looking to save money on their electric bill, that's what we do. Full installation, all the paperwork and red tape that's involved, A to Z, and get people's meters spinning backwards. We've been together as a group since 2009 and exclusively solar since 2013.
Wow, that's I would, and maybe I'm ignorant in this industry, this field, but was that kind of on the leading edge of this, or really not so much?
Well, depends on how you look at it. The technology of the panels has not changed in over 50 years. The original Bell Labs was a silicon-based wafer smushed between glass and just a backsheet. And that's what it is still today. Just the panels have more wattage per square foot than they used to. So in that respect, I mean, solar, even in its current modern form, has been around for decades. For Iowa, though, we're one of the oldest. I think there was one small shop that got started a few years before us as more of a hobby, but as a full-on installer, yeah, we're 8 years old and maybe the oldest kid in school.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. So who should be looking into using your products and or services? Who's an ideal client for you?
Well, theoretically, at its max, anyone who uses electricity. So, I mean, everybody's a potential candidate. The lowest hanging fruit would be people in Alliant and Mid American territories because they have the best solar metering policies. And then, of course, you need to have some room to put this and have ownership of that building. So, if you're in an apartment, this probably isn't for you unless the guy that owns the apartment building is putting it up. But yeah, if you have an electric bill and tax, because there's significant tax incentives in moving forward with solar, it's not just saving you on your electric bill; it's also saving you on your tax bill. You're probably a good fit with ROIs under 5 years for commercial and generally under 10 years for a residential install.
Oh, okay. That's see now I can kind of starts making sense to me. Can you, and this is probably not a good question, but so can you dumb it down for the just the lay person when you get a phone call? Obviously, the technical side of this I don't know anything about, and probably a lot of people that are gonna pay attention to this video aren't that familiar with it, and it kind of scares us a little bit. But
Sure.
I'm understanding you can make it simple for us.
Well, yeah, I mean, much like a internal combustion car, you might not know exactly how the engine's working, but you still know what a car is and how to drive it. And solar's a little bit like that. A lot of safety redundancies, and there's no moving parts. So at its most basic, there's a solar panel on a roof or a ground rack that's absorbing sunlight, exciting electrons that are moving back and forth, and that's creating electricity in DC form, direct current. Then that flows to an inverter that flips it to the AC that we know and love, alternating current. That's what everybody is using. And then that passes through the meter, and you're sending electricity back to the grid when you aren't using it actively live first. And as I mentioned previously, Alliant and Mid American have the best metering policy, and they have what's called net metering. And so whether you use the power live in the moment or you send it to the grid, you're getting the same full retail credit for that power. And then Alliant and Mid-Am, they're not losing out because they have an efficiency gain. Power is being produced when they need it the most. I mean, 3, 4, 5 p.m. on a hot July day, that's when they're most in need of power. And a homeowner is now producing that and sending it 50 feet to his neighbor instead of 2 miles from a transmission station. So a lot of wins all the way around. And from a cost standpoint, it's pretty close where you could finance it if you didn't want to be cash out of pocket. And the savings on your monthly electric bill would approximate the monthly bill to the bank where you financed it.
Okay. What is most of your business done with residential, or is most of it done with commercial buildings?
We're a pretty even split, which is a trend towards residential. Our first 100 jobs, probably 90 of them were agriculture. And the remaining 10 were, a mix of other commercial or just the homeowner of those agricultural sites, somebody getting 2 or 3 arrays. But the last 100 that we've done is closer to a 50-50. And we have approaching 700 installs now scattered across Iowa.
Awesome. Fantastic. How big of a team do you have?
We're at about 10 right now, and we kind of fluctuate up and down, but the core group of 4 of us have been together since more or less the beginning.
Okay. All right. So last year was a pretty crazy year with the COVID pandemic. What kind of an impact did that have on your business? What kind of changes, pivots did you guys have to implement for last year? And are any of those changes or pivots that you had to make you're going to keep in place?
Yeah, there was an instant blow that I think anybody in any field had, where there's a little trepidation. There's some sticker shock in what we sell. Our widget is in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and not for a small residential install, but a bigger system can easily be more expensive than the average person buys anything in their lives. And so with something like a global pandemic, people are a little reluctant to buy a want thing instead of a need thing. But that said, that did trigger a number of calls for people looking into battery backup and being off grid, which is something we can help people with as well. Although our bread and butter is being grid tied, where if the grid goes down, solar is just a part of the grid and it goes down as well for safety reasons. But we actually already do a lot of our work remotely. So we were, positioned really well in that all of our lead up work and quotes can be handled with a Zoom meeting like this, satellite imagery to design and size the system, emails and phone calls. But that said, at some point we have to physically go out to a site. And so, masking up, making sure we're, abiding by all CDC rules at the time. And those have obviously, lessened. But there's a multi-step process where we're in the home, either just discussing solar or, physically taking measurements of roof structure, getting electrical information. So we need a certain amount of face-to-face.
Sure. Okay. All right. Yep. So you've been in business for quite a while compared to a lot of other businesses out there. There's a saying that a smart person learns from their mistakes, a wise person learns from somebody else's mistakes. So do you have a tidbit of information that you could share, a worthwhile nugget that you could pass along to other business owners or other businesses on something that you have learned the hard way and would like to pass that along?
Yeah, unplanned growth is not necessarily a positive thing. We had a window where there was a a significant rebate for solar on top of all the regular benefits. And it made it an almost too good to be true deal. And we were ramping up along with that, but I think we were just floating in the wind with no real rudder and direction. And so we had multiple crews running and doing a lot of installs, and that's all great. But at the end of the day, the net bottom line wasn't really any better. So we found a sweet spot with the number of crews we run, and not that we're against growth, but just simply doing double the installs and then having double the expenses and have the same bottom line is not much of a win.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah. A lot of people should pay attention to that. So excellent, excellent learning. Thanks for passing it on. How do people find you? How do they reach out to you?
So we're one of the top results on Google. Even just a simple solar panels in Iowa type of search, we're going to be at the top. But cbsolarinc.com is our website. info@cbsolarinc.com is the email. And yeah, just you can even walk in. We don't get a lot of walk-ins, but we're over on Lower Beaver, 5425 Lower Beaver in Des Moines. And it's just a big warehouse type of building. You can tell by my background that we're not spending a lot of money on the office space, but it does us just fine. We have a large warehouse and maintain significant inventory. So there's a lot of things that can happen with shipping the solar equipment that comes from all over the world, and various tariffs. Things can change on a dime, where something that was easily found moments ago is no longer available. And we're fortunate enough to have a lot of everything needed for an install just 50 feet behind me.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Yep. Excellent. So I'm going to let you go with this last question. Give us an example of something that inspires you, or what does inspire you?
Well, we as it relates to solar, we help out nonprofits, and so being a tax incentivized product, a nonprofit without tax, we're lucky that we get to help some really great groups. I don't know about name dropping, but Hope Haven operates a lot of homes and education centers and shopping centers that hire folks that have various levels of disabilities. And to be a part of that is an inspiration, because I know they're doing such great work, and our little part of it to help them with their electric bill. And then we work with them to pass along savings that they normally wouldn't be able to have because they don't have an income tax base. And so I guess we take some inspiration from that.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So excellent, Matt. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
We've been
you.
talking to Matt Edwards from CB Solar, and you want to learn more about solar, get a hold of Matt, and he'll be glad to educate you on it. So Matt, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.